20 years ago, all of the products that consumers bought were decided upon by stuffy executives in boardrooms in big consumer products companies. Now, it's you. I mean, you're deciding what products impact people's lives. I say it on my podcast all the time. It's an amazing time to be alive. Say that with me. It's an amazing time to be alive. And you know, the funny thing is, I didn't even connect that saying to Amazing.com, our host, until Friday. I was sitting in the audience and I was thinking, here I'm at Amazing.com, and I always say, it's an amazing time to be alive on my shows. So we have this democratization of literally everything, where the gatekeepers have gone away. Think about history for a moment. Think about the history of something I call access. Access was always controlled by gatekeepers. If you had something to say, if you had an idea, if you had an opinion, if you had a cause, you had to go to some book publisher, and some literary agent would vet you, and some publisher would decide whether or not your ideas get published. You had a manuscript, and they'd look at it, and they'd sit on it for 2 years, and then they'd change the title and re-edit the whole meaning of it. Now, you can go direct to the marketplace, and the marketplace will decide whether or not it likes your ideas. I remember when I published my first book, by the way, I'm author of 11 books, and they are all on the New York Times worst seller list. Oddly, I'm not very into book publishing. I like podcasting much better. Writing a book is hard. Podcasting and just talking about stuff, much easier, at least for me. But I remember when I published my first book in 1999, it was called Become the Brand of Choice: How to Earn Millions Through Relationship Marketing. And I remember it was about midnight, and I had a sort of what's called a subsidy publisher. They may not call them that anymore nowadays, but it was where you didn't have, it wasn't like Random House or one of these big publishers. It was a publisher that sort of helped you publish, although you weren't completely self-publishing. So part of my part in this was I was responsible for putting the book on Amazon.com. And I remember back in 1999, on a weeknight at about midnight, I listed my book on Amazon. And I thought, after I got done, it took about 7 minutes to do that. And I thought, this is incredible. I literally took my ideas and I put them out to the whole planet Earth. The whole human race had access to them in 7 minutes. And there was no gatekeeper at all. You can go direct to the marketplace. So the history of access, well, in the old days, you know, access was determined by pharaohs and kings and queens and religious leaders and churches. And then it was determined by governments, and unfortunately in some places it's still determined by some governments. And then you could easily argue that over the last century it was largely determined by corporations. But now, since we have the democratization of everything, there's no gatekeeper. It's determined by you.